You guys enjoying the intro music? Hello and welcome to another episode of the Lions Den podcast. A Wednesday night of football talk as we played on another Monday night football this week at home. So we're here to talk about everything that happened during that match versus San Luis, as we're very stoked on the results. So we're here to talk about everything that happened during that game, breaking down the game, just looking into the future and see if this is the needed confianza that the Leon needs for the rest of the season. Also, we're going to preview upcoming game versus Chivas, which will be very, very interesting. We'll have a special guest to join us to kind of help us preview a little bit about that game. Carlos, Louis, and Javier, gentlemen, how are we doing tonight? Are we happy? Are we sad? Like, what are we feeling?
We're good.
Relieved.
Happy.
Pleased with the result, not necessarily with what it took to get it, but all of what it took to get it anyway. It's a rough first half, but yes, pleased with the result.
Yeah, very important points.
Yes, absolutely.
That makes me happy.
Any thoughts, Carlos?
I don't know. I feel like we looked pretty bad in the first half. I don't really want to talk about it, but second half we looked a lot like the championship team we were last season.
We gotta talk about it, Carlos. I think we all could agree that first half was just a hot mess. That we were kind of. I literally I felt defeated. I was like, oh gosh, I have to sit through another half. Like, hoping it's not like the first half. Which honestly, guys, I think the game actually started in the second half of the second half. Like, I think that's from there on out where it really kicked off.
Yeah,
sure.
In the fourth quarter, yeah, pretty much the first half was awful. For me, it just felt like it was going to be a 0-0 game because I no miraba por donde. Even though, like, for sure, Leon first half dominated in terms of possession. Same thing with the whole game in general. But the first half was just awful, and it did make you feel like, at least in my head, was like it's going to be at least, if not a 0-0, like very close, like towards the end, 1-0 game, right? And for me, in my prediction, that kind of what I was kind of happy, it's still like what I kind of predicted. But in my heart of hearts, I'm like, I still wish we were like 3-3 up, I still wish we were like 4-0 up, because it felt like it could be that kind of a game, even though San Luis plays really well. But yeah, that first half was just awful.
They play motivated. They play above their talent level. That's for sure. And they were certainly motivated from their previous win against Chivas. You could tell they were light on their feet and out there. They came to play for sure. That first half was brutal. They couldn't get anything going. And we got lucky on an offside call that just barely was. Just barely, like millimeters we're talking about here. And it was painful. It was painful to watch. And I was same as you, Javier. I thought it was going to end 0-0, and we could not afford another 0-0 against this kind of opponent at home. That would have been disastrous.
Yeah. So
I'm glad things got turned on their head in the second half. I still need to see more from the team to be convinced that they're back, that they're the team that we are accustomed to seeing. I'm not convinced yet, but I'm certainly happy with the points.
It's a good step, though. It's a good start.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So we can't see the title of today's show, but it's titled Chi 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 Lele Leon, because we are going to talk about what happened in that second half. And in order to talk about that, Carlos, are you ready to give us the club team news prior to this matchup?
Yes. Let's
do it.
Okay, guys, so we had been waiting for the return of Angel Mena and Jairo Moreno, also Fernando Navarro, who's still out. So Mena and Moreno both returned to the lineup. Jairo Moreno was the one that got the start. Mena came off the bench, but they both, I think, had really good performances. Jairo kind of looked a little rusty. Mena not in top form, but he did come off the bench and provided a huge boost in the second half. And then I think one big point that we need to talk about, that we're going to be talking about in the next couple of weeks, is the CONCACAF Champions League tournament. The draw for the tournament is coming up. It's actually next week on the 10th. And then the first round is going to be played at the beginning of April. So big news, big tournament. I know a lot of these guys on the team want that revenge. And we're in pot 2 this time around, just like last season. Unfortunately, I don't think LAFC is going to be in it, so we're not going to get our revenge against them. But we do have other teams. I know Louis wants to face a very specific green team.
No, I don't. Anyone but them.
Okay. But
Yeah.
I mean, just what do you guys think? Who do you guys want to face? There's a couple
Philadelphia.
of teams in that first spot.
Or that Canadian. Philadelphia.
Yeah, I mean, it will be an MLS side, or it could potentially be if Forge FC beats Toronto FC in the Canadian Championship, it could be a Canadian Premier League side. But it will more than likely be an MLS side again.
Yeah.
Being in pot 2, that's just also it's partially our fault this time because of our poor performance as Mexico Cuatro in the last edition. It has to do with how your slot in the tournament has fared in the previous editions, and the Mexico 4 has fared poorly, and so that leaves through no fault of the team that gets that spot necessarily, they end up in pot 2 and have to face MLS competition in the first round. So I'll take any of the MLS clubs really, except for the Timbers. Please, not the Timbers, and not because I don't think Leon can beat them.
You don't want to have to deal with that
because I don't want to have to deal with that divided fandom. I'm from Portland, Oregon, a big Portland Timbers fan in addition to Leon fans. So that would
Louis, if it
painful to see.
came to it, Louis, if it came to it, do or die, you have to choose one. Who would it be?
Put him on the spot.
No, I'm not. I would probably go for Leon, but de mala gana. Like I wouldn't be happy. I wouldn't be happy about it. I wouldn't be happy about it.
He says the
No, I wouldn't be. I wouldn't be happy about having to. I wouldn't be happy about having to make that decision.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like when America or Cruz Azul have played Real Madrid. Imagine if we played Real Madrid in the Club World Cup, Cody. I know you're a big Real Madrid fan.
Yeah, you're a big Real Madridista. Imagine that.
Like it's the same thing, you know.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, my blood.
Leon plays Nápoles or Bilbao.
Yeah.
Nah, I'll still go for Leon. Leon is aparte de cualquier cosa. But I understand that from Louis. Like why would you ever want to be in a situation like that? So yeah, of course.
Yeah, I would prefer not to be in a situation to have to make that decision. I'd like to see both of them. I would like them not to draw against each other in the first round, so they both have a chance to go far. Like if they meet in a later round, like that's and they a fuerzas tienen que chocarse. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. I'd prefer it for not to be in the first round though. That would be lame. Because then one of them would be out in the first round, and that would be no fun.
Yeah. Definitely.
I want Philadelphia. I think
I like Atlanta.
Atlanta.
Yeah.
I like Atlanta too because they're a shell of the team. They're a shell of their former selves, and they kind of just sneaked their way into this because there was no better way for the federation to award that fourth spot than to just. Since the U.S. Open Cup was not played this year, they just awarded it to the previous winner, to a team that is really, really on poor form and is a shell of the team that won MLS Cup in 2018 against my Portland Timbers, for example, for reference. But I wouldn't mind that.
The games are going to be at puertas cerradas still.
Well,
for now,
there are a few MLS markets.
Does it depend on the states?
Like for example. I believe Atlanta, Columbus, and Philadelphia all allowed fans into their stadiums this season. So were that to be the case, I mean, crazy as it might be, I would probably try to go to any of those places to see the game.
That's where I was going with this. Because my next team would be like, I would kind of prefer now Atlanta or Philadelphia because if there's a possibility that it would be, a puerta abierta, I know Louis is going to go, so I'm going to be like, hey, Louis.
I would try. I mean,
I'm down.
The thought of it is pretty crazy, but the thought of it is pretty crazy. But I would try. Yeah.
I'm hoping Atlanta then, between Atlanta and Philadelphia, because I don't even know how far it would be from here. Like, anyway.
Well, all of them are far, but I'm pretty sure, just from what I understand about my hometown, there won't be. It's highly unlikely that by April there'll be fans in the stands in Portland. So that's another reason to want Columbus or Philadelphia or Atlanta, especially. And in April, I mean, it should be pretty decent weather in all those places too. So,
yeah, it's looking like it's gonna be some sort of a pilgrimage, some sort of not pilgrimage, but some sort of road trip. But for sure, our little get together, because I've never met Carlos in person. I've met Kari already, or I haven't met Jose in person.
We've all met, like, we have to connect and make a dot and just
met everyone.
Like, I need to meet Jose and Carlos. That's what
I haven't met Jose. He's the only one I'm missing.
Yeah. Jose, he's legendary. I keep telling you guys.
Yeah,
he's legendary. No one's ever seen him except Carlos, right?
Yeah, Carlos has. They've gone to.
We've hung out a few times.
It's because Carlos is like Moses. He got to see like he got to see his all whatever. We're getting off track. Go.
Yeah, let's get back on track. We're a long time. Carlos, give us the lineup for the game.
Right. So let's see. There were a couple of surprises, guys. The main surprise, I think, that caught us all by surprise is the start of Poncho Blanco over Rodolfo Cota. People are trying to say it's not a big deal, but I really, now, after hearing what Ambrí said, I think Poncho Blanco actually took over that starting spot. I don't know what's going on with Cota. There's no word, but it looks like Ambrí is just preferring Poncho Blanco over Cota right now. The back line, same as last week, Tecillo, Barreiro, Mosquera, and Avion. In the middle, we had Montes and Ivan, and then we had Davila, Meneses, Jairo Moreno, the return of Jairo, and Gigliotti up front, who was pretty bad as well.
Yeah, it wasn't his best night.
Yeah. But, one big surprise, guys, the goalkeeper position. What do you guys think?
I don't know what to think about that. It could be something or it could be nothing. We don't. It's still too early to know.
It's too soon to speculate if that's really the situation. Also, I could believe if it's like, for like Nick Killer, who also wasn't on the bench, I could probably see that as a indication that maybe, hey, we already gave you all the opportunities and you haven't showed us. Even like, for instance, like it could also be favoritism, because I always asked, why is he always putting in Godinez, right? Or sometimes giving him like, even though they're trash minutes, he's still giving him minutes. I think, maybe with Blanco, or he's just trying to make them. Because look, maybe at the end of the day, we do need Blanco to have more games. Because if we do end up playing Conca Champions, maybe next season, because we're only going to play one playoff, octavos. Is it octavos or cuartos? Cuartos, right? This tournament in April. And then if we pass the next round, it won't be till next season, correct?
Yeah, I think we go all the way to October, something like that.
Okay. Well, either way, uno va a tener que jugar Liga and the other one va a tener que jugar Conca Champions. So I like that Blanco's getting these minutes, because we already know what Cota's made out of, and we know Blanco is also an excellent goalkeeper. We've seen him in the past, so I think he's trying to get more confidence, more minutes. I hopefully it's not that he's taking over Cota, because that would be kind of, they say Cota, he's a leader in the vestidor, so we don't want that to be kind of broken in any way or form. Maybe it's just giving him minutes and giving him confidence. Yeah. But Nick Killer, I would believe that he's kind of just saying, I'm gonna give Davila and Gigliotti, like all the opportunities. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's worrisome. Sorry, I don't think it's worrisome. I agree with what Javier's saying. I think we all have said this in the past, that we feel secure, with Blanco at goal. I think it would have been different if we are kind of iffy about him, and we still would understand it's early in the season. Might as well give him minutes to get it out of the way. But I don't think he had the best night, but I think, I feel comfortable having him. So I guess giving him more minutes and just having, I was looking at their ages. They're both the same age. Obviously Cota having more, of the upper hand, ahead of Blanco, but I don't know. Maybe, I'm not trying to look into it yet, at least.
Yeah. To Blanco's credit, if the real reason is just that but he sees more criteria to have him as the starter right now. I mean, he's responding. He's going out there and showing why that might be the case. I don't know. I don't necessarily buy the argument that it needs to be fresh for Conca Champions. That's not until April. I mean, there's still a long way off, and you're not really concerned about the fitness of your goalkeeper, like playing multiple matches. Generally, I don't know what it is, but it's too soon to like speculate or generate conspiracy theories. And we could, who knows, in the next match, I don't know, against Chivas, to have Cota in there would be a little bit curious, but to have his
I saw
return.
your eyes roll.
In these, in one of these next matches, we could suddenly see Cota back, and then end of discussion.
So I guess I'll leave the question to the next segment.
Yeah.
I mean, I need to write it down. But so I guess I think Javier brought a good point about no, and we're having kind of a mini joke aside from in our chat, but I guess just switching topic, looking at Davila, I mean, let's just go ahead and say what do you guys give him from 1 to 10 on his performance reviews? I mean, everybody was just blooming on media of the sort of force that we've always wanted, because we know the capability that he has on the field. It's kind of the Davila show second half. I mean, from 1 to 10, what do we give Davila? Racked up 2 goals.
I mean, it's 2 different halves. If you had to rate the first half, it's like it's not even like a 5. I mean, I didn't even see anything out of him in the first half. Second half, it's got to be at least a 9.5, because he got a brace. I don't know. I mean, do you average the 2 out, or do you just go with the higher one? I don't want to average it out. I'm gonna go like 8.5.
Yeah, I'm going to go with an 8. See, the thing about him is the first 2 matches, you started to, I mean, it was way too early to really make a final judgment, but he started to question, like, the weight of that signing, because he really was he was invisible. He was practically invisible in those first 2 matches and the first half of this one. And also, yeah, he had his brace. I can't give him anything less than an 8 because he scored a brace. And he made himself known. He made his presence felt. But I would have liked to see much more from him in the creation, in the generation of plays. Like, that's really what he's not here to be a finisher. If we're being nitpicky, which we have a right to be nitpicky with what this team has shown us. Like, that's why I'm not as ecstatic about these wins, just because they're wins anymore. Just because of what this team has shown to be capable of. The expectations are higher. The nitpickiness is at an all-time high. So what I want is what interests me more is how the results are coming, more than just the results themselves. And within that, like, how the players are responding to the roles that are carved out for them. I'm happy to see Davila score a brace, but he's not supposed to be our finisher. And in the creation and the build-up, I still want to see a lot more from him. But I mean, obviously, the brace, I can't give him less than an 8.
Well, he's a good finisher, and I saw somebody on Twitter mention that they would really want to see him play as a striker. So, I mean, that's a good.
I don't know. I think that's kind of a waste of his. He's so great in the build-up and the creation, like in the second to last pass, not the last pass.
Mm-hmm.
The ball should be at his feet, I feel like, and I want to see more from that from him. I still think he can give us a lot more than what we've seen so far, and I think he will. But the first 6 halves of Davila were a little bit disappointing, if I'm being quite honest.
Yeah,
and then he kind of exploded with that brace. So. We'll see how he responds to his role moving forward.
Yeah.
Javier, do you want to comment?
I think Victor Davila showed exactly in a way what we kind of expect from him to make a difference in the field. Those goles que metió, I kind of just believe we already found someone that could be up there in case Gigliotti can be the one metiendo los goles. But in terms of like his performance, I actually gave him a 9. That's the highest number I gave everyone because out of everyone, everybody else got like a 7, a 6, lower than that. I just gave him that because that's all I really expected him. Giving us those 2 goals, and then Meneses el golazo de mi Takeshi de Oro. That's aparte. I gave him also. I gave him in Davila the same clasificación. I think this is why we're calling this episode Chichichi Le Leon, because it's pretty obvious that people are gonna be hyped about this Chilean duo. Hopefully, los pueden dar más goles. I'm gonna be more optimistic here, but yeah, I think I agree with Louis. Davila should be more of a generador de jugadas. Maybe a little bit more abajo, jugando un poco más abajo with Montes, maybe as kind of that creativity where we would like to see him. But I do think that and this is maybe I'm analyzing this kind of I don't know, I'm very naive when it comes to this, but last season I saw we didn't really have a lot of goal, and I think this guy I think if you saw how we didn't have un representante en la tabla de goleadores last season, I think he might be one. He might be up there trying to fight. I'm not saying he's going to be el campeón goleador, but he's going to be el representante de León en tabla de goleo. And those 2 goles, hopefully, que vengan mucho más de él. Same thing with Gigliotti. I really want him to score more, but I don't know. So I'm not mad at Davila. So that's why I gave him.
I'm not mad at him. I just think if he's our leader de goleo, then we're not making the most out of what he can be. To his credit, he responded. Gigliotti obviously wasn't working last night. He just couldn't get anything going. It was a poor night for him. And they shuffled things around, and they kind of left Davila up front as the target man, which I don't think is what he should be. But that's kind of what they decided that they would do, and he responded. So to his credit, in that role, he did well. I just don't think he should be in that role, but we'll see. We'll see how they decide to use him going forward.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think just for looking at the lineup at the beginning, I was kind of interested in how the last attacking third was going to be. Obviously with Gigliotti and Davila, you want to see kind of how they work. Having the regreso of Meneses on and as well as Jairo. I mean, I think we saw potential. It was just hard. It was just hard to watch. And I guess moving forward, obviously when we mentioned earlier in the podcast, cuando ingresó Mena and Joel Campbell, how that kind of changed the tone a bit. I mean, Campbell didn't have his greatest night either. I think he's kind of in that phase of struggling during the season, and then we're going to see this whole, when it comes to Liguilla, he's just like a totally different beast. But I guess moving forward, is Davila going to continue to start?
Oh, I would assume so, for sure.
So, like hands down. Is he like, I mean, and I totally agree with what Louis said. The first couple of games, it's kind of like him obviously building up, because obviously we have to give the benefit of the doubt. They come in form. It's totally new different team, totally new different players to adapt to. But would, after this result, after him needing to seal the deal, does that make him a legit starter now on?
I think so, because I think comparándolo con Nick Miller, Gigliotti, Odines, whoever our strikers are, él viene, he's barely coming in. Él se está acoplando. He's barely getting into the rhythm of how the team plays, el sistema. And that's why I think it's normal. Just like it's normal, I feel it's normal for us to like lose a couple of games, draw a couple of games that we should have won in the first, 10 jornadas. Like I started.
Oh no!
The last.
Come on, Javier. Come on.
Javi. And he's frozen.
The whole liga.
Let's mute him for you until he gets adjusted. If we can, no. Louis, you have any comments?
Yeah, I mean, I think just for the simple fact that he's the refuerzo bomba, and he's pretty much the only one we had. He's going to have a pretty long leash.
Pretty long leash. I like that.
I'm not necessarily saying he's untouchable, invincible. Like if he has a series of bad games, we have guys in who can fill in that position as starters. So I'm not saying it's a sure thing forever, but he is. I mean, he was our big signing, and so he's going to get more than just 3 games to cement his place, which he might have already done.
Yeah.
But even if people are still on the fence, he's going to get a few more games at least, maybe even half the torneo, to show why people were so excited about bringing him in.
Yeah, and it says a lot that on Monday night, Nacho Ambriz decided not to take him out after the first half because he had a very bad first half. Him and Gigliotti had a very bad first half. So I thought they were both for sure gonna come out at halftime, but he didn't get substituted. And I think it's important that Nacho Ambriz gave him that confidence because he already knows him as a player. Like he's coached him before. He knows what his capabilities are. And I think, like you said, he just feels like he's getting acoplado and he needs that rhythm. He needs that chemistry with the rest of the team. So, I don't think he's going to be exiting the starting 11 anytime soon, especially if he keeps scoring.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, interesting. How do we feel about Avion Ramirez starting as right back? We still know that Navarrito's out. How did you guys think Avion did?
I mean, he's doing his job. He's doing a good job. I don't think he did any mistakes defensively that we can call out. He's not offensively. He's not there because that's not his role. But he's doing a good job, I think. And I don't think there's anything I can call out about him. Anything bad I can call out about him.
Yeah, I mean, I still with Jairo fully healthy and like able to play 90, I would still prefer to see a back line of Jairo, Tecillo, Barreiro, and Mosquera. I think Mosquera is a better second option, assuming Navarro isn't ready to go. Obviously, if Navarro isn't ready to go, I kind of prefer to see Mosquera there than over Avion. I like Avion a little bit pushed up higher. I think he can do a little more damage there. But yeah, I mean, I don't have anything overtly negative to say about his performance in that position in this particular match.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. I was gonna say, so let's just talk about because I need to get this off my chest. What is going on with Ivan Ochoa? What's this little vela of us now registering him back in our team or not? And I thought we left that at I don't know.
I mean, I don't think we should pay too much mind to it because I don't think he's going to see the field ever, whether he's registered or not.
But isn't that confusing though? Like, where does that?
Well, I think they tried to get rid of him. Maybe but they didn't find a taker, and like he's still under contract, I guess.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they probably didn't have a choice but to register him. But I don't think he's going to play any sort of significant role or any role of any kind really in this season. I could be wrong, but I mean, when is he going to get minutes? I mean, I don't think he doesn't play over Ivan, he doesn't play over Oso, and he doesn't play over Zamora or the other juvenil Contención. I don't see him playing over any of those guys.
Or maybe even Colombato, right?
Or of course Colombato. How could I forget? Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah,
I feel like we should have got rid of him, and I thought that was the plan, but I guess not. I mean,
well, I can understand. I can understand other clubs being reticent to look for his services.
I mean, normally don't we just ship out players to Pachuca? Why couldn't we just
to Everton, Viña del Mar? I mean, I'm sure he's welcome there. I think he played there already.
He was there. He was there.
Yeah,
and
he was already
came,
there.
and then now with could it be that he could go back? I mean,
he's probably an ídolo there. That's usually how it works, like Maxi Cerato was,
Oh man.
Yeah.
So just a quick round of how the rest of the jornada went. Tigres and Necaxa tying 1-1. Mazatlán beating Pachuca 1-0. Juarez beating our next rival Chivas 2-1, which we're definitely going to talk about previewing what we can expect or not expect. Cruz Azul versus Querétaro. Cruz Azul winning 4-1. Xolos 3-2. I mean, that game at halftime was 3-1, so it was interesting to see how that ended. Atlas Puma 0-0. I watched first half and I missed second half, but it looks like I really much. Which at least a question for Atlas and the upcoming Atlas versus Santos. So that'll be interesting for the Olergi teams. Santos and America tying 1-1. Obviously, us winning 3-1, and Puebla and Monterrey drawing 0-0. Anything stand out to you guys?
I mean, I love anytime Chivas loses, especially at home, especially to a poor side. Poorer side on paper anyway. And I watched that game. Know your enemy. I watched that game.
You know them in the back of your hand, Louis.
I know them well, and I loved how that game played out. I mean, what is just they took advantage of their chances and they beat them. They beat them. They beat them well.
Yeah,
it was fun to watch.
Yeah, it was fun to watch. It's good to have it's good to play a Chivas side that's kind of battered and bruised right now and going through what the media calls a crisis.
I feel like they're in crisis every season, though. Like
that's the thing,
I know.
I mean, I'm not throwing shade or anything, but it literally, I feel like every season when something's going terribly wrong, it's like they're quick to jump. Is it in crisis? And I think we could just talk about it, like how this league is so quick to turn the page on new coaches. And we see that trend with clubs. So a question that I guess I'm going to the floor is would Vucetich be on the chopping block if no one were to beat Chivas? Are they at that point?
No, I think he makes it through the season no matter what.
Think so?
But if they flame out in the repechaje, for example, then I think he'd be fired. Or if they don't even make the repechaje, which would be awesome. But even if they just barely get in and flame out, I think then it's maybe Vucetich is just washed up. Maybe he doesn't care anymore. Maybe he's done what he needs to do in the league, and he's not up to the task. But I think he lasts through the season. He's too much of a figura in Futbol Mexicano to just cast off.
Yeah.
After a few matches, especially after what he did unexpectedly with them, making that semifinal run where they didn't really have any business being there.
Yeah. I think it's too easy for teams to just cut off a coach, knowing that maybe the coach isn't the issue, because I honestly don't think it's the issue is coming from the coach. I think it's much deeper than that. I don't want to get into Chivas, like their business, but because I don't really know them like that. But I mean, I don't know if
Chivas is just like one person. You're like, I don't want to talk about them.
Oh, I mean, well, they're a pretty big entity, and I know their fans get pretty sensitive when we talk bad about them. But
I don't care. We can be the one podcast that's not obliged to pander to that mediocre team. I refuse to do it. I refuse to do it.
No, but I mean, we're talking facts. You know what I mean? Just like we expect so much from our team or praise our team when they are bad, we pretty much accept it, right? We pretty much accept terrible, what's going on. We've entered that as well. So I mean, I guess we're just
right.
How
my thing is, you gotta take the crisis thing with a grain of salt, because when they win one game, despertó el gigante. When they lose one game, they're in a crisis. That's just the narrative that is forced upon that team because of their popularity, no matter how poorly or well they are playing. Mm-hmm. It's what sickens. It's the thing that sickens me about them. It is what has turned them into the team I despise the most in Liga MX, even more than America. just because of this exaggerated narrative. No matter what they do, and the inversión that's been made in that team, they have to overpay. Since they can only have Mexicanos, they have to overpay for everybody. So their investment is enormous. So they have to talk up a really, really mediocre squad as if it were good. And I can't stand it.
Wow.
Yeah. Hot take?
Yeah.
Well, I guess we'll have someone right now who will better help us kind of analyze and preview this upcoming game versus Chivas. I know Louis is already on his ranting emotions because we all know how much Louis dislikes Chivas, but we're going to welcome to the podcast Carlos from Telemundo. Hello.
Hey, how are you guys? How you doing?
Welcome to the Lions Den podcast.
Hi, I've been listening almost from the beginning. So yeah. I don't know if you want me to jump right into it. I mean, the first thing I've always been against like every fan. It's more than welcome to have their own opinion, but I really struggle calling any team mediocre just because there's a lot of infrastructure and work that has to be behind in order for this to happen. And sometimes things don't work out. Things you could have really good play. I think Chivas has really good individual players. If you put them anywhere else, like I bet, like even thinking about Leon could. You actually had Macias for a while, and then you could pick any of those players, and I'm sure under the Leon structure they will perform a lot better. Because it's not that the players are bad; it's just that there's something on the structure that is not working. Whether it's they're not getting along with the coach or they're not understanding the tactics. I personally think the chemistry between the players is not there, and it's not necessarily their fault. Sometimes you just don't click. It's great. We're all soccer players. We're all professionals. We get there, all of a sudden things don't work out. Just because my style of play doesn't really, goes with the other one. And you saw with Macias in León having a player like Chapo Montes, which is the only player in Mexico that has those qualities right now, was able to shine because he could actually feed off of the movements of Chapo Montes. He can't do that with Alexis Vega, where Alexis Vega is playing. He can't do that with Antuna because Antuna is more of a finisher. So you have a lot of problems in their rotation on how that's happening. However, they're still not doing well, and that's the reality. And they obviously need to be. If you're one of the most popular teams, if you're one of the teams with the most titles, you're gonna get people behind it, making sure that you give results. And that's something that I feel like, for example, I think León and Pachuca having a very good investment and a very good structure behind them, they don't have to struggle with that, because even with the times when they get down, they get a chance to restructure and do things properly. So besides the fact that they do it well, right? Like besides that, they actually have a very good structure.
I think
sorry.
No, go on.
I understand. I understand that perspective. That's fine. My thing is, as you say, no matter what the problem is, they're not getting their results, but they're still the story. They're always the story, and it's frustrating for me as a León fan. I feel like nobody appreciates the great run of form we've had. The people don't even want to recognize the title. They think of it as an accident. Okay, that happened, but we can forget about it, and now a big team will win the next one. And I just think that's unfair. But I understand how that is.
But I don't think anybody said that. I think we were. I mean, at least on our line, and I think I even said it because I got to do the Chivas León game. I think one of the things that León has been actually praised for is how good they've been. I feel like the only question probably they had was with Ambriz, and it was just kind of like to make a storyline on the fact that Ambriz is just missing that little step to be a real coach, right? Like, let's put him in between the grades. He has to win a title because he didn't have one. And because it's not the same as with Vucetich that can like sit down and say like, well, I haven't won anything in 5-6 years, but I've won 10 titles. Ambriz goes backwards. I create really good teams. My teams have really good form. The players perform really well, but I can't win. So that was a question for Ambriz. But I don't think, even when they had the bicampeonato, and mind you, I actually, Telemundo had the games for León at that point. So if there's something that I know very well is León from the inside. And they've done really well. And I think that one of the things that the media in general obviously they don't focus on it because you obviously need to go with, things that sell a little more, if you want to say it that way, which is unfortunate and it's true. But I never thought that they've ever seen Leon as a team like, oh, it's a one-off, or that will never happen. I think that Leon is actually regarded as one of the teams that works the best, and the results are there. And we all said for the past year and a half, Leon has been the best team, and they deserve to win that title, and they won it. So, I mean, we all thought it was more like, well, this is logic. We want the big teams to do well because they're big teams, but this is the logic. Leon has to win because Leon's Leon, and they're doing great.
Yeah. Oh, it's nice to hear you say that from your position, of course. But I guess, it is that thing about no matter what the big teams are doing, whether they're doing poorly or well, they have to be talked about. It's that little thing that's being a fan of Leon has always irked. It's just irked me a little bit. Not a little bit, a lot bit, But I understand, and I appreciate your perspective and to hear you say that.
I think what we were talking about right before we jumped in is, Chivas hasn't won. I guess, what are your conclusions so far? And, Louis answered in the way of what he thought of the question, but do you think this is on the chopping block this week? Or do you think he, like Louis said, he's going to last for the whole season? And I guess we'll see. Veremos a ver qué pasa.
I think Chivas still has some credit just because they were able to make it semifinals. They lost against the best team, and they beat America, and that's always a plus, right? So they have some credit in their account for this season. I still think there is there's some pressure on Vucetich because, like Luis was saying, Chivas is Chivas, and people go at their throats right away. And it's not good that one of the popular teams hasn't won in 4 games. You want them to be competitive at least, even if somebody else wins. And that's one of the things that I love about Liga MX and Mexican soccer is the fact that there's very few teams that dominate. And I think that's actually good for the league. Obviously, as fans, you want your team to win all the time. I get that, and that's fine. But objectively, I think one of the good things for the league is the fact that you have different champions, regardless of the structure and how you get to playoffs, and that's a whole different conversation. But it's great to see different teams get to the finals, different teams win the title. In this case, I do think there's pressure on Vucetich to get results. Honestly, on my personal take, and I think that's something I was happening to Leon before this game, when you have such a short amount of time to prepare for the next season, because when you're the champion, you basically rest 2 weeks, and then all of a sudden you have a 5-day preseason and you're playing again, and you can't expect the team to do well. That's really tough. It's really tough on your body, and especially right now with the pandemic, with the times that we're living, the structure and how things work has changed a lot. Just an example, Leon, for the most part, a player will be able to go to practice, get out of practice, go to rehab for a couple of hours, and have the kinesiologist work on him and maybe get some ice and whatever. All those times have been reduced because of the exposure. So now you don't have time to do that. You can't go and get bandaged, and you can't go and get ice, or you have to do it on your own. And those things take a toll on the body of a professional athlete, and especially when you have to, perform at that top level, and when you're the champion. And then coming into this season, we all also know that Liga MX, and especially right now, thinking of, I only have to be in 12th place to make the Liguilla. The first 5-6 weeks we're gonna be like this. They're gonna be really slow. We're gonna have really bad games, and then little by little we'll start picking up, and by the 10-12 one, you're starting like, oh look, all of a sudden we have exciting games. I think that's unfortunately something that happens, and with the pandemic makes it even worse.
Yeah. Javier, you with us?
I saw that he's not frozen anymore.
Hey, what's up? But can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that was my only word. I'm sorry, I have technical difficulties, but I'm here and I'm back, and I was just listening to part of what Carlos was saying. But yeah, I agree. I was gonna ask you just one question, man. And it's about, do you think it's fair? Because I've been hearing a lot that if Chivas if they don't beat León, then Vucetich might be fired, and there's rumors that Diego Alonso. It's but these are just rumors. I don't believe any of them. It's the prensa trying to create morbo in a way, but I do think it would be a mistake for Chivas to get rid of Vucetich, especially if you haven't beaten any team during the season. Why all of a sudden your ultimatum is against León? Like el campeón. In the beginning they look like they're they've had campeonitis, but against San Luis for sure you saw a little bit of a cambio in the chip de la Fiera. But I do think it would be a mistake if they get rid of Vucetich, in my opinion. But do you think it's fair?
No, absolutely isn't. But again, like that's the reality of how. And again, I was really surprised because now I'm thinking like I think I need to recommend some people to Luis to follow maybe on Twitter so he doesn't have to read those takes, and maybe that'll bring your animosity towards the other teams down a little bit. And that's the same thing. Depends on where you go and depends on what you read. You're gonna see the stakes, and it's so you should. I don't think it's fair whatsoever. But mind you, like those rumors. I live in San Jose, California. I work with all the teams in the Bay Area, and I've been dealing with Matias Almeida for the past year and a half, and every single time any team needs a coach, Matias is the first one in line. Oh, Matias Almeida is coming. Almeida is gonna be here, and Almeida is gonna be here. And then I talk to the people from the Quakes, and they're like,
"He's not leaving.
Matias is not leaving." so again, like it's common. It's very common. The reason why I think there's pressure and like they have to beat Leon in this case is the fact that when you're supposed to be one of the teams that are fighting for something, right? You're not one of the teams that are just to be on the league. You're supposed to be at least, making semifinals, fighting for titles. You have to beat the best teams. So if you go and let's say and it happens in the tournaments all the time. Let's say you're in this case, let's say you're Chivas. And when you look at the teams that they beat, is every single team that is from number 12 to number 18. But then they can't beat a Tigres, they can't beat a León, they can't beat a Monterrey. So it's like if you can't beat the big teams or the teams that are the most important teams and they're the ones that are doing well, so then why are you actually there for? So that's why there's a little pressure on it, and especially because the points start racking up. Like, and that's another thing that it's to me again is really strange because when you really think about it, and I made this exercise the other day. In order to get to Liguilla, without the 12 teams, that's separate. Every other Liguilla that had only 8 teams to make it to the Liguilla, you had to make between 20 and 22 points. That's nothing. 20 or 22 points. So that means that you only have to win, 6 games? And then tie 3 more? That's 9 games. That's half of the season. So even now, Chivas doing really bad in the first 6, 7, 8 games. They can win 4, tie the other 4, and make it to the last 12. So again, I think there's just too much of that. We don't have anything to talk about, and Chivas is doing bad. What happened with America? They were completely disqualifying Solari before he even got there. It's like the guy hasn't even coached 1 game. This new player that they got is like, yes, he's 23, he's Spanish, he played in 2nd division.
But he knows them, so there has to be a reason why he wants him there. I mean, it's not la gran bomba que Americanistas has been used to getting, pero yeah, even the descalificar a Solari and saying what teams has he coached to coach America? I'm like Real Madrid.
Even though that was its own,
Yeah, but still, like,
entity,
America has had coaches that you would be like, what, remember Aguado, the guy with he had the little, what was it called? The
intercom?
Yeah, the intercom, and supposedly Ascarga was calling him and all that. Remember back then, like, what was he doing there? So what merits did he have and that Solari doesn't have? I don't know. I think we get, I don't know, como es torneo corto, se desesperan un poco las directivas con los técnicos. And I agree, like, I think it's true about Vucetich. Like, I think I think he did a great job last season in a Liguilla, pero that's right. If you want to be a contender, you got to beat teams like León. And although that panic button should be pushed like la jornada 16, 17.
Yeah, but they're coming off losses to Bravos and to San Luis. Yeah. That's my thing. I understand the general concept of a big team. If you want to be a big team, you need to be able to beat anybody in any given day. But for there to be this extra pressure now to beat León after losses to Bravos and San Luis, it just doesn't seem very realistic. That's my issue. One of my big issues with Chivas fans is they're not very down to earth with the state of their franchise. Like they always think like, we have to win this game, even though it's not very probable given the current situation of our team. And, then they always revert back to things they did in the 50s and 60s. Yeah, I know what made you a great team, but you're not looking like one right now. And you're coming off pretty bad losses to San Luis and Bravos. Beating León right now is not improbable. So I don't understand that pressure, that extra pressure to win this particular game. It doesn't make very much sense to me.
Well, to me, it has to do with Vucetich. I feel he deserves way more respect than that in a way, just because of what he's done also in the past. I understand que hay que tener resultados right away, but in my opinion, it's a little unfair for someone that I think is a legend. Of course, los hizo campeón aquí en el 92, so that's why I kind of have this a little the girls, like I for the longest, that was the greatest happiness that we had for decades. Like 2005, YouTube was barely up there coming up, and my tío would be like, "Hey, búscame este video de León cuando fue campeón con Puebla," and I would put it, and he would have tears because that was like, I mean, remember, it was like we had that, and then we had 97 losing with Comiso and all that, and then 10 años en el descenso. So yeah, Vucetich for a while was someone that whenever you said his name in León, it brought a smile to your face. So I think he deserves more than that. Chivas es un equipo grande for sure, pero I think if you see how Vucetich has what he did with Querétaro, un equipo muy limitado, and he still did interesting things. And he sacó campeonatecos. Like, I think if you give him time, like he might be able to.
There's also the fact that, I mean, those things that we're talking about, to me, it's been a while, right? The soccer in the 90s compared to soccer nowadays is a completely different game. And I actually feel like one of the things that, to Lewis's point, that why they do that is like they also have to do it because they go back to, there's always something wrong with the big teams. That's why everybody hates America, and that's why everybody hates Chivas. Because then if I say, well, it's fine if they lose against Leon because they're the champions, they're gonna be like, well, now you're pampering them. So you either pamper them or you ask too much of them or you're unrealistic. Like, there's always a way to criticize them, and that's something that it's very common. And it's also, I feel the fact that there's a lot of people who get on the bandwagon, right? Like it's always all or nothing. There's no real analysis of. Yes, Chivas is most likely not gonna beat Leon if you go by that.
But who knows? It ends up being that the game that you least think they're gonna win, they end up beating Leon. When Leon estaba invicto por 12 victorias, we all thought, oh, Chivas had a really bad season. We're gonna beat them a piece of cake. And then a veces Leon has that que peca de soberbia. So I wouldn't even.
And it's not just Leon. I think it's every team in Mexico. Yeah. I mean, when you analyze game by game, for example, last Chivas games, they lose to Juarez.
Yeah,
Chivas had the ball for 72% of the time. They shot on goal 23 times, and they had 17 dead ball situations, and they could put it in. And and Juarez attacked them twice and scored. So you have to, sometimes you have to take those things with a grain of salt. There's very few moments when you see the games or games and teams like Leon, in this case, like the last game they had against San Luis, and you're like, oh, look at that looks solid. That looks like the Leon we know. Last season was a perfect example. They were the first place. They played the best soccer. They were able to, and I actually felt like the only thing that they were missing, and I feel like Davila gave them that a little bit, at least just in this game, was that they didn't have a good striker. Had they had a good striker, it would have been worse. They would just obliterated everybody, because that one last piece, it was like Gigliotti wasn't scoring. I mean, he ended up scoring the two most important goals that he needed to score.
Yeah.
But he didn't score before. And Nick Giller, he's great on the sticks.
Oh,
that's
really
about
it. Es un capo, es un genio con la máquina.
We're still holding out. I am anyway, holding out hope that he can show us something. But he's running out of chances.
Maybe you can put him on the field with an Xbox controller. Like, maybe that'll be the maybe that's the key.
Yeah, definitely. I think in regards to just coach, I think just in Liga MX as a whole, longevity of a coach, like having a legit long-term plan, giving these coaches actually the benefit of doubt. A coach is not just going to come in and switch things in one season. Like, we have to be realistic. But just this trend, Liga MX, we just literally I have this question because we just never know when a coach is going to be fired. I mean, look at Atlas situation. Like, could it be that this season their coach leaves? Possibility. I mean, what happened last season, give that coach a benefit of the doubt. So it's just a lot of got back and forth in regards to coaches and longevity in their teams. Let's move on. I know, Carl, you're on time. You're pressed on time. How much we got?
That's okay. I have another 20 minutes.
Okay. So let's go ahead and just talk about, I guess, give me your 3 players that Leon should watch out for, and then we can give you possible 3 players that Chivas should watch out for in this upcoming match.
I think again, it's hard just because they haven't been performing. But the most interesting players in Chivas are Fernando Beltran. I think he has a lot of potential. Maybe he's being not being used properly on the tactical system that Chivas is running. So they limit what he can give you. But he's a really young player, and I feel he shows a lot of promise. I think Alexis Vega is the one that actually it's the key to Chivas making or breaking their own games. Sometimes he's able to give you that assist or score himself, but at least the ball has to go through him for them to actually make something. And the other one it's Macias. Again, the pressure has to be on him. He already showed in Chivas what he could do. He went to León and did fantastic. Came back, and even though he didn't have a really good season, he still managed to score 5-6 goals, which for 17 weeks in the Mexican tournament is a decent amount. Especially if you think that he's not doing well. So somebody who scores 6 goals when he's not doing well, like that's a lot of things he can give you. He scored on week 3. He scored on week 4, even if Chivas lost. So you still need to be careful, because if they can find that one play where they can find Macias, he's for sure going to score on you.
Okay, Carlos, Louis, and Javier, what kind of players do you guys give that? Keeping an eye on, keeping tabs on during the match.
I'm gonna say Victor Davila, just because of the moment that he's going through right now, scoring that brace against Atlético San Luis. I think Nacho Ambriz, like we talked about earlier, gave him that confidence to keep him in the game, and I think he comes out and he probably scores another 1 or 2 against Chivas, because you need that confidence as a player coming into a new system. But I think he's definitely one to watch out for.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with William Tecillo. We didn't talk much about him in the recap, but I thought he left a major mark on that game against San Luis, kind of quietly, like nobody talked about it. But I mean, the dude is just so consistent and so solid. I mean, with his passing and getting into the attack, even playing out of the back, and his first touch is incredible. I mean, he's sometimes kind of quietly, but he always leaves his mark on the game. So yeah, I'm gonna go with William Tecillo.
I agree with both of you guys in terms of Davila and Tecillo. Tecillo is the rock. He is, for me, one of the most important players León has had in the last 3 seasons, just because, we used to be very worried about that position, la defensa, and I think he came and just proved that he is el capitán in that área. So I have him and Davila, of course, because of el momento que está viviendo. And I think, again, it's not just because this episode is called Chichichi Le León. Like we're really proud of los chilenos que tenemos.
You love saying the title of today's episode, don't you?
I love it. Chichichi Le León. That's genius. Like, are you kidding me? Like, and it really does demonstrate that we have those Chilenos. I think Meneses is a player that he's proving to be just fundamental in esa banda, and I always think watch out for him. Also, it just depends. Como despierta, no? Pero Jairo, in any given moment, I think it's a beautiful thing to see him play with León. It's a beautiful thing. He's always been my favorite player. And last season se lesionó and everything, but hopefully this could be a season where he can show what we know he's capable of. I think he is the most exciting player in the sense that he's young, and I know there's got to be teams in Europe kind of like keeping an eye on him. So if he has a really, really good season, he could be uno de esos jugadores que pueden vender en el futuro León for talking about Chucky Lozano numbers or something. Grupo Pachuca is really, even though it's, technically we're not part of Grupo Pachuca, but trabajan bien, and I think Jairo is another one.
I mean, I'm obviously not broadcasting this particular game, unfortunately, but I expect something really similar to what we saw on the semifinal, and I think the key to León's game against Chivas is on Chivas' left side. So whoever's playing on the right side. So in this case, El Avión Ramírez played on that side on this week. Whoever's in that position, it's where you can have a little more space, because I think Meneses and Tecillo, even though they're great players, Vucetich most likely is Vucetich knows that you need to control middle for León and then cover on the sides, and it's easier for them to do it with Conejo Brizuela and El Chapo Sanchez on the right. They're a little more diligent on the marking. So you're gonna see very few of Tecillo coming up, because he also needs to take care of Antuna. So it'll be not a smart idea to try to attack Chivas on that side. So you have to go on the weaker side of Chivas, which is when Ponce goes up, there's a misconnection there with whoever's playing on that side, usually with Vega. Vega is not very good at coming back. So when Ponce goes over there and Chivas loses the ball there, there's always that big gap behind them. And last season, I said it, to me, the most important player in this particular team is Navarro. Because when Navarro gives you both defending and on the offense, when he shows up out of nowhere, it helps out a lot. And he ended up scoring against Chivas because also Chivas prepared for a game where they were expecting Elavion Ramirez to play in his natural position. He ended up not playing. You ended up having Joel Campbell. And when Joel Campbell plays, he broke the game because he was going to different positions. Chivas didn't know where to really cover him. And the goal ends up coming on the left side with Joel Campbell breaking on that side and finding Navarro. So I think it's going to be very similar. They know each other very well. I happen to be coached by Ambriz very briefly, but I know him very well. He's somebody who talks to you a lot, who's on top of you. He takes care of every single detail, even if it's just like, hey, listen, you're putting your body on the wrong position. Your hips should be that way when you're receiving, and I know he has looked at Chivas. He knows exactly what to expect. And the same with Vucetich. And Vucetich is probably going to wait on Leon. He's not going to go after them. So he's going to try to wait for them and try to find where to break it and have a counter attack. So that I think that's the game we're going to see. So even if Leon takes it or Chivas, I doubt Chivas will take it. I think a good result for Chivas will be a tie. And then if Leon takes it, it's going to be a tie game. It was going to be like a 1-0, maybe a 2-0. If they happen to score one, Chivas goes in the attack, and on that transition, they actually get exposed, and you can counter them. But that's more or less how I see the game.
Yeah. Definitely. I think this means we're going into prediction time. I know Carlos gives what he thought. Maybe he'll change his mind a bit. But I think it's good that you brought out in regards to Navarro, because I think we all sound like a broken record. We said this so many times on last season's podcast, how Navarrito was the key to the season. Like you said, we know he's capable of doing offensively, defensively, in a way, kind of playing a similar role to what JJ Macias did, kind of, being the exact moment up. You just never know. He was in the back and he turned and look and he's already in the front, acting like a striker. So we can't wait till he recovers and comes back to us. So in the meantime, we will have to see. The guys, are we ready for prediction time?
We are ready.
Go to prediction time now.
Prediction time, prediction time, prediction time, prediction time, prediction time, prediction time.
We're gonna get Louis to have a little live session with a guitar sometime this pod season, right, Louis?
Yeah, hopefully. If I can get my skills up.
All right, Louis, let's go start off with you. Prediction: Chivas versus Leon, Monday Night Football. What are we saying?
I'll go with a 2-1 Leon win. I don't think it will still probably feel like a pretty tight game. I think maybe the second will come late and Macias will score, but the game will already be lost. Yeah, I don't mind seeing him score in a losing effort. I actually quite enjoy that. So yeah, 2-1 Leon.
Leon. Javier.
I'm sorry, I was laughing. I'm gonna go with what I really want to see. I know if I was like betting in Vegas, I'll probably 2-1 like Louis. But then I like Vucetich, and I don't want nothing to happen to him. But I'm sorry, Vuce. Por el dolor de mi corazón, I want Leon to be like 3-0. I want to win.
Solid. You want a solid win.
Yeah, I don't want no more talk about campeonitis and anything like that. I want people to know that Leon is mejor que antes, because I do think that we have armas that we didn't have last season, and we should be better. We should start winning these games. So Chivas doesn't pose that. But like what you were saying about las bandas and everything, yeah, that makes me wanna kind of wonder how the game is going to be played. So in my head, it's more like 1-0. To be honest, Kari's going to kill me. I know. In my head, it would
choose one right now. Go, do or die. What's your scoreboard?
3-0. 3-0.
Okay. Not changing it anymore.
No, I'm playing. I don't know who's going to score, but 3-0. 3-0. I'm gonna go with it. I'm gonna go with what I want to see.
And let's go with the last Fiera, Carlos.
I'm going to go with a 2-0. I think it's going to be a very closed game. It's going to be, I don't think Chivas are going to come out and attack us and play in the open field. I think they're under pressure to perform, but I know that if they come out and try to perform against León and play, the tú por tú against León, they're just going to get, they're just going to get beat up by León. So I don't think they're going to come out and do that. I think they're going to come out and try to look for the draw. So I'm going to go with a 2-0 León.
2-0 León. Carlos, are you still predicting a draw?
No, I said if Chivas plays well, they'll probably play for the draw. But I think León will take it 2-1.
Okay.
That's the most realistic. That's the most realistic scenario. But again, like I'm saying, like it's not crazy to think that Chivas could, potentially draw down what León can do, play on the counter attack and have a 1-1 game. Because
Okay. 2-1. I'm gonna go with a 2-0. I think it's a must needed win after this one that we desperately needed. I think we got to keep the momentum going. I think Chivas seems kind of lost at the moment. I'm not too sure. I mean, Carlos said, I think they still have time to pick it up. There's still plenty of games, especially with repechaje. I don't think they would be entering a crisis at this point. So I guess, watching a Chivas León is always interesting. You just never know what we're going to get. I think that's always an interesting game that comes from that. So, and I think we lost Javier. So hopefully we recover him. Josue Espinosa on the chat also saying 2-0 León win. MacPack, shout out to you. He said, damn, Louis chill, we got guests.
It's Chivas week. I get a little heated. Sorry.
I should have prepared calls. Like, hey, just let you know, watch out for Louis.
Luckily for it was really funny because against San Luis, I think it was. I said that Chivas obviously look worse because they had a short week and that obviously doesn't play in your favor. I got a lot of heat for that because it's like, oh, now you're making excuses. Like, that's part of an analysis too. They're professional players. What do you want me to say? Like, León is having the same problem. And if I was talking about America on a short week, it would be the same thing. Like, it doesn't make.
You just never win. It's always something.
It's just I feel it's because I am in charge of Chivas. Like, I don't have any other games. People just assume that I'm like pro Chivas all the time, and it's like, well, try to be as fair as I can. So I just happen to have those games home. Like, that's not my fault.
Understandable,
man. Definitely. So we're about to let you go, Carlos, but let us know, what are you currently up to? I know you broadcast Chivas in English. What are you currently working on, or what's right now? What's your whole role with Chivas?
Well, I mean, obviously, I'm really excited to be in this English role, right? With Chivas in English with Telemundo. I think it's something that we as a company having pushing in the last couple of months. I was really excited when they proposed this to me and they said that they were trying to cater to an audience that was, unequivocally Mexican, but also like to get their soccer in their Mexican soccer in English. So I was really excited. I mean, this is obviously a multi-deal that Telemundo got on their side. So there's going to be a lot of Chivas involvement with Telemundo and special access and so on and so forth. So there's going to be a lot more of that. I'm really excited on the fact that we're also covering the U20s and the U17s, because regardless whether you're like Chivas or not, that's always a place where the national team can feed off. I'm really excited that also we're paying a lot of attention to the women's game. I think that's great, not only for the Chivas women's game, but in general, being able to have a platform, because a lot of people have struggled watching the women's games, and this gives them an opportunity to actually consume it too. And just, being part of the Liga MX in English community. I'm first generation Mexican. I was born and raised in Mexico. I play for Cruz Azul, but was raised a Pumas fan, hence why I'm a horrible fan in general. Then my first ever assignment as a post-match reaction reporter was with León. It was on the quarterfinal against Morelia. I don't remember if they ended up winning that final. I think they lost they might have lost in semis. I don't remember. But the first three players I really opposed match reaction was Boselli, Chapo Montes, and I think at that point it was Elias Hernandez. And again, so I work really close with Leon. Nacho Ambriz is somebody that I hold very dearly. Navarrito, I've known him since his days at Atlante, so I know how great of a player and a person he is, and it's great to see him develop into the player that he's now, and obviously being a champion, right? So it's great. It's great for me to be part of all this. I've been part of the Mexican soccer family for many years at this point, and really excited to be with you guys, because I mean I've said it even on the broadcast. I feel like what you guys are doing is really important also for us, because it shows that there's a need and a want for this kind of content for Liga MX in English, and it helps us understand that, and also for us to help you grow, and we all grow together.
Yes, you said it well. You said it well. Awesome. It's cool getting to know you a little bit more. I know we had a couple interactions on Twitter and stuff, so I'm very excited that you got to join us and kind of see our little dynamic of Leon. We always talk. We don't get tired. Even if we get off here or on the chat, we're always talking about our team. So we're very passionate, so we want to share all the content that we can in English. So we really appreciate you having time today. I know time was limited today, but thank you so much for joining us today. And hopefully we'll have you in another episode soon. We'll figure something out, but you're more than welcome to come back whenever.
Absolutely. And yeah, I mean, just how anybody, if also they are interested in other sports, and especially the teams in the Bay Area, which is the Quakes, the Niners, the Dubs. I also have a podcast with the station. It's called Deportes al Detalle with El Mundo 48. If you're into podcasts and you're like, well, now I got my Leon fix, let me see what the Quakes are doing or what the Niners are doing. Today we're talking about the Super Bowl, for example. You're more than welcome to join us, along with Carlos Mauricio Ramirez over there, my partner here at Telemundo 48.
Nice.
And you got a comment, Carlos. Congrats, Carlos, for your Telemundo contract. Hopefully you can later call games for Leon and expand the Leon brand in the U.S. We gotta bring you to the green side.
No, absolutely. I mean, I have a really good relationship with all the Leon people, obviously, and I feel like every time I interact with the Leon community manager, which I actually know who they are, everybody on the team, we also get in good engagements too. It's one of the teams, the social media teams, that it's run the best in Mexico too. So yeah, I mean, I would love to. I mean, the more games, the merrier, right? I'm not gonna say no, but right now we're the house of Chivas, and that's how the game goes.
Leon needs to crawl back at Telemundo. I actually missed games back in the day, so we will see what it has in store in the near future. Well, guys, this was episode 63 of the season 4 of the Lions Den podcast, titled Chi 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 Lele Leon. Javier's probably favorite title of every podcast that we've ever named. So we are out of here. Thank you so much for joining us, and remember to follow us on all social medias in regards to club team news. Obviously, you can follow Carlos in regards to his following, broadcasting. He's not going to broadcast this upcoming game, but he will broadcast upcoming games if you guys are ever interested in hearing in English, as we are here to expand the community, like he had mentioned. So follow us there. We all live tweet during the game, so catch us if you're missing for any reason. We want to thank everybody that joined us via Periscope and on YouTube. Thank you, MacPack and Jose, for joining us tonight. But yeah, guys, so we're going to take off. This was another episode of the Lion Den podcast, and thank you so much. We'll see you guys next week.
Thank you, guys. Bye.